Excellent. Good morning. Yeah, today we are going to explore Shavasana and some alternatives. So what I had in mind is that Shavasana isn't a great shape for everybody, not even, people who like it find that some days it doesn't feel relaxing. So there are so many different alternative ways that we can begin and end any practice. This isn't just stuff that's handy to know during a restorative class. If you're doing a more active yoga class and it's time for Shavasana, you have options. You don't have to lay down on your back if it doesn't work for you. So I've got a few different things that we've done some of them before. One of my favourite ways to end class when I'm taking one myself is in a side lying Shavasana, so we'll be spending some time there. So today, as well as the usual props that, I talk about, blocks and bolsters and blankets, if there's anything that you think might potentially be useful, like some squishy pillows or extra blankets or stuff, there is no such thing as overkill in the world of restorative. So yeah, just take any suggestion as just that. It is a jumping off point. I just said before I hit record today, we have accompaniment by Octavia F. Rahim's book, Pause, Rest, Be. And I think that's all the preliminary crap that I need to get out of the way. So today, if you wanted to start in a seated position or sitting in a chair, that is entirely available. When they say Shavasana and you would rather sit, it is completely valid that you sit instead of laying down. So if a good place for you to begin today is upright, then listen to your body. The purpose of any final relaxation shape is to find comfort, is to find a place where you can let go and you can just release into the moment. And if your body is creaky or grumbly or making all kinds of I don't want to lay down noises, then you're the expert. I don't know how many times I've said it. I don't know how many times I will continue to say it. But you are the expert in your own body. However, having said that, if you don't want to begin seated today, then let's take a Shavasana, but set it up with care, with something underneath your knees so that you can neutralize your low back on the floor, and something underneath your head. And a nice touch as well is a little extra weight across your belly. So it might be as simple as a folded blanket. If you've got access to a furry friend who's quite happy to come and lay down on you, then take that option as well. Sometimes I really like a meditation cushion because it's got some heft to it. But, okay, so once you're there, decide whether having your legs out long in front of you makes sense, or if you'd like to take them a bit wider. So you can have your legs wide in your Shavasana. You can have your hands further away from your body. And we call this version pentacle pose. So if you ever hear something called pentacle mentioned, it's basically you are making a 5-pointed star with your body on the floor. Ta-da! Mystery solved. This is what pentacle pose means. Another alternative, if laying with a bolster or blankets underneath your knees makes little to no sense, you can always begin in the constructive rest pose, which is when you're laying on your back, you've got your legs bent, your feet on the floor, you take your feet wide out towards the edges of your mat and you allow your knees to fall in against one another. So, we've taken this pose together before, but just as a quick reminder, I will show you. And basically, you're not holding your legs in position. It's the weight of the legs resting against each other that hold them in place. So this can be really, really nice on the back. You don't have to have any other props here. But if you find that your feet get cold, then you might like to wrap them up. Socks, a blanket, whatever you got going on, make sure that you are going to be warm, because today we're going to be holding each of these poses longer, because I want to give you a taste of what a final relaxation might feel like in these different setups. So find your way into whatever your opening Shavasana looks like. Whether your legs are together or wider apart, whether your arms are alongside your body or further away. You might like to bring your chin a little further in towards your chest in order to create some space along the back of your neck. And when you're ready, relax your gaze or close your eyes. I've got to pause for a sec because I just realised I haven't put you guys on mute. Hang on just a tick. Okay, so much for a nice beginning there. So, finding your way into your opening version of Shavasana. Either in constructive rest with the legs bent and the feet wide, knees falling in towards one another. Or with something underneath your knees, legs together, legs out wider. Whatever it looks like. Feel the ground at your back. Feel yourself begin to settle in. Relaxing the gaze or closing the eyes, whatever makes most sense here. Let's take a nice deep inhale either through the nose or through the mouth. And sigh it out through the mouth audibly. Let's take another couple of those. So inhale, filling the body with fresh oxygen, and then sigh it out. Inhale one last time, make this one a good one. And let something go as you sigh out. Beautiful. So as we always do, imagine that you're connected by fine threads of energy to everyone that you've interacted with over the last few days and everywhere that you've been. Imagine disconnecting from all these external points of contact and drawing all the little pieces of your energy back home into your body, where you reintegrate. Bring it all home, everything that belongs to you, that you've left out in the world. Call it home. And then feel yourself whole and complete once again in the place that you find yourself in this now that we share together. And know that for the next 75 minutes or so, you have nothing to do but listen to a friendly voice guide you on an exploration of Shavasana. So I'd like to begin by drawing your awareness to the breath just moving in and out of your body. without your control. Feeling the earth and any props that you're using beneath your body. And I'll let Octavia F. Rahim take it away. She said, descriptions of Shavasana as an asana date back to the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, a 15th century text in which we find many of the earliest references to the yoga poses that are still practiced today. It is the only pose among all the asanas that is included in every sequence, a hint to its importance. I didn't know about the Hatha Yoga Pradipika in my earliest yoga days, and even if I had, I still would have been confused by the non-doing postures, as I'd come to associate yoga with movement and doing. Despite making the connection that it is, in fact, the one pose included in every class, it took years for me to become curious enough to return to my first teacher's words about Shavasana. It's the most important. It's challenging. It was then that I actually became a student of this posture and journeyed into the heart of this way of ending. She continues, ultimately I have come to understand Shavasana as the practice of death, and every ending, big or small, is some kind of death. In Shavasana, we practice the death of the ego, the death of grasping, and death of all aversion to reality as it is. In Shavasana, we practice recognizing that, for now, there's nothing left to do. I've also learned that when we are particularly activated with fear, worry, or anxiety related to endings, it's best that we cocoon and support ourselves in Shavasana instead of simply lying down. In that way, we create a place to be held, cradled and supported through, and in this most potent and powerful pose and place, this ending, Shavasana. So in whatever version of this pose you find yourself today, she recommends beginning by keeping your eyes open and noticing how your body feels. Scan your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and then from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. Do this 3 to 5 times, allowing yourself to notice what you feel and where you feel it. If you're feeling worried or agitated, Octavia Rahim invites you to keep your eyes open for the duration of the posture, or just for a little while longer. Sometimes immediately closing our eyes takes us on a trip to worryland if we're already a little turned up. If you keep your eyes open, let them be soft and focused in one place. If, however, you're ready to drop in, close your eyes. Either way, with each exhalation, allow the earth beneath you to fully hold each part of your body. Once you feel completely connected to the ground, sense that whatever is in your mind can also be held by the earth, and give it to her. Once you feel more space between each thought, take your awareness to the center of your chest. Feel and notice. If something is weighing on your heart, know that the earth can hold that as well. Exhale deeply and give your heart's burdens to the earth. With awareness at your own heart, offer up an intention or prayer for courage and support with whatever endings you are facing. Rest your awareness and intention on the waves of your breath. Relax into this pose and stay here for another 5 minutes. So hopefully you're feeling yourself start to relax into this shape. You're starting to notice whatever concerns and preoccupations you brought with you today. And as Octavia Rahim said, know that the earth is big enough and strong enough to help you bear whatever burdens that you're currently dealing with. You don't have to face them alone. Allow yourself to feel supported, held and comforted. As we spend 4 or so more minutes getting to know this pose that we often only really spend time in at the end of practice. So if you notice that your mind is quite distracted, know that it is okay. Whatever you're feeling is welcome here. Breathe into it and let the earth support you. So at the end of a more active yoga practice, we know that Shavasana helps us to return to a calmer state. But whether it's a more active practice or it's the end of a restorative practice, Shavasana's benefits are the same. It helps us to integrate whatever practice our bodies, our hearts, and our minds have experienced up until that point. But it's also a way for us to help clear our minds, to find deeper layers of relaxation. It lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which we also know as the rest and digest functions of our body. It allows our breath to slow and deepen. And it allows us to let go of any residual muscular tension that we feel in our bodies. So one of the main purposes of Shavasana is to bring balance back to our nervous system. So the main benefit here is that it stimulates the rest and digest function, which means that our digestion can be improved by laying around and relaxing for a while. And it is also where the body activates its natural healing responses. So although Shavasana looks to the untrained eye like somebody just laying around doing nothing, it is all going on beneath the surface of our skin. So when you're ready, start to invite some small movement into your body. Maybe you begin by wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rock the head a little from side to side if it feels good for your neck. Today we're not going to begin with any warming up movements. We're going to go from one version of Shavasana into another, only pausing long enough to get our props set up in a way that's really supportive. So you might like to roll onto one side before you come up. Keep things as low energy as you can today. We don't want to undo the effect of one Shavasana with a brief flurry of activity before heading into another one. And then when you're ready, press yourself up. We're going to be taking a side lying Shavasana next, but you have to come up so that you can get your props set up. So something I would invite you to do today, just as a matter of comfort, of padding, of self-care, is to lay a blanket down on top of your mat. Just for something extra soft to have underneath your body. Just so you know that it's not do as I say and not as I do, I will get my blanket out as well. You might like to have it folded in half, but find something that feels good beneath your body. So to set up for a side lying Shavasana, the things that I find are really nice prop options are to have my bolster, to have a blanket or two, or maybe a nice squishy pillow to put underneath my head. And I find it doesn't matter what side that you choose to lie on, so I will be laying on my left so I can still face the camera. But the important thing here for you might be that your feet are going to be warm enough. So cover your feet up with a blanket or with a pair of socks. And you might find that having something underneath your knees in order to keep your hips a little bit level and to stop them knocking against one another is what gives you comfort here. So I'll show you what it looks like on a really basic level. So something underneath your head is very important. Come to lay on one side. Possibly your knees will be bent because it just feels more relaxing to my body than having my legs out long, but we all are built differently, so you experiment with what feels better for you. And then I like to place the bolster in between both of my legs. Now, what you do with your arms is going to be up to you. You might like to have something underneath one hand to give you a little extra padding, or you might be happy to have that hand and arm resting on the floor. I find that my arm naturally just sort of rests in on myself like I'm giving myself a little hug. But this is the closest thing I can imagine to laying in bed. So if you find that you would like something to support your back, then having something cushiony against you might feel really, really great. For me, I think having things away from my back body feels more supportive. But like I say, we are all different here. So notice what it feels like to be in this position. If you feel like you're going to nod off, then is there anything you can do to make yourself feel marginally less comfortable? Because Shavasana, as we've explored before, yeah, okay, sleep might come, but the function of Shavasana is not to make us fall asleep. Sleep might come because we get here and we realize how exhausted we really are, but Shavasana is not a pose that is a precursor to sleep. So we want to feel comfortable, we want to feel supported. But if you notice that you think that it might go that way, then you might like to take your bolster and make a little incline for your body instead. Lay on your side on a little bit of an angle, so your body is not laying along the ground in that comfortable I'm in bed state. And then you provide the rest from here. You find a way to notice what's happening in your body, to feel supported by the earth, and to let go of any unnecessary muscular tension. I will bring pause, rest, be back into the mix with some helpful suggestions from Octavia Rahim. So she said, once you're in this side lying pose, which is known as Parshva Shavasana. So she said, keep your eyes open and notice the first few breaths just as they are. Then close your eyes. As we did in our first Shavasana, scan your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and then back up from the toes to the top of the head. Do this a few times, just allowing yourself to simply notice what you feel and where you feel it. Become aware that you're in a cocoon-like place, and even allow yourself to consider that the you who set up this shape is not the one who is now lying down. A transformation is already underway. For the next several moments, pay attention to your breath. Gradually invite your breath to become longer and steadier. Nothing forced though. After the inhale, notice the pause. Breathe out as soon as you need to. We aren't holding the breath, we're only watching it. Continue to breathe this way, paying attention to the inhale and the pause right after it for the next few breaths. Then shift your attention to noticing the exhale and the pause right after the exhale. Again, we're not holding the breath, we're not forcing it, we're not even creating a pause, but noticing the one that already exists. So anchor your awareness in the pause more than in the movement of the breath. Remember, you're not holding the breath, you're not forcing the pause. You're just noticing what's already there. Do this for as long as you want, or until you feel your mind and your body release. if you find that it's difficult to settle here, or you feel that if you don't give yourself something else to think about that you might fall into sleep, then when I was first taking in yoga classes, I was told that the mantra "So hum" might be a really nice, gentle way to hold your attention. As you breathe in, you think "so," and as you breathe out, you think "hum." It just means I am that. If you have a mantra that you already use that you find useful, substitute that instead. Or you might like to keep your awareness on your breath by thinking in on your inhales and out on your exhales. I'm going to give you a little space for silence now, as you spend some quiet in this side-lying Shavasana, noticing how it feels, especially in comparison to the Shavasana that we took on our backs to begin with. I find that my cat seems to like this one more than a Shavasana when I'm laying on my back. So you might find that your furry friends find this one especially attractive. Something else to consider about Shavasana that I found on the website Yogapedia said, in the fast-paced modern world, stress is the silent killer, activating the hormone cortisol in addition to other destructive effects. The sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the fight or flight response, stimulates this particular hormone. It also causes the heart rate to accelerate, and it diverts energy from non-essential body functions like digestion, so that if you're in a dangerous circumstance, you would be able to run to ensure your survival. The problems occur when cortisol is secreted in excess for a sustained amount of time and in unnecessary situations, like when there's no actual physical danger present. Your body's stress response serves a purpose, however, if it is an everyday occurrence and you're not really living in danger, the body will actually begin to shut down and no longer function optimally. So that's another reason why Shavasana is a vital daily practice, because our bodies are still responding to stress as though it is the evolutionary response that evolved when we had to run from predators in order to ensure our survival. Our idea of stressful situations now might be long lines at the grocery store or, deadlines at work, or the stresses of family. They're not things that are actually going to mean the difference between life and death. But because we're no longer running from predators on a daily basis, These are the things that have become necessary in order for us to survive. But as yoga is a practice of achieving and maintaining balance, we need to balance out the stress response with the soothing responses of the rest and digest function of our nervous system. So when we go into these states of intentional rest, we're giving our body a chance to reset from the damaging effects of too much cortisol on our bodies. So as if you weren't already really into the idea of restorative practice as a way to soothe yourself on a regular basis, now you know that, yeah, the science backs it up. It says that we need this time in order to undo the damage that we do to ourselves without even thinking about it. Okay, I hate to break it to you, but it's time to start coming out of this side-lying shavasana. So move slowly. You've been still for 10 minutes. So you might find that, like when you wake up in the morning, moving slowly and with awareness is the way not to start yourself freaked out. There's no point in giving our nervous system time to find some kind of balance if we then race back into action and start the stress hormones flooding again. So move carefully. We're going to be coming onto our bellies next. So if you can move from your side and sort of remove props one at a time, just sort of taking them to the side, then that would be perfect. But for this belly down pose, you might find that some padding, some extra padding underneath the pelvis feels supportive and far more comfortable than just laying down. So if you're going to take that option, then maybe press yourself gently up to a tabletop and move slowly from there, placing another blanket or something for support down underneath the pubic bone. And then coming to lay on your belly. Now when you get here, there's ways to make this feel even more supportive with some of the squishy pillows that you might have brought with you. So take the elbows out wide to either side. They might come off the edges of your mat. Stack your hands and either bring one cheek down or bring the forehead down. But you might find that having a squishy pillow underneath the chest or your upper ribs feels like a really nice addition here, because we're going to be holding this shape for another 10 minutes. So observe early on whether having this is going to enable you to stay. You might also find that you would like something to pad your feet and ankles. So it might be another squishy pillow or it might be a rolled blanket. You might find that having yourself covered up would be really helpful here. But take a little time to find a comfortable belly down position. There's no hurry. And if for some reason this particular variation doesn't feel good, or if any variation doesn't feel good, then do not feel obliged to stay here for the full length of the hold. Find something else. You might revisit one of the other shapes that we've taken already, or you might just choose to sit quietly for a little while. But if you're staying on your belly, feel your body supported by the earth, and feel the resistance against your belly as you breathe. Now this is known as crocodile breath because this laying down position is known as crocodile pose. So if anybody ever mentions crocodile breath and you think, well, what's that? It's what you're doing right now. It's when you feel the earth resisting your belly's expansion as you inhale, and it's feeling the breath moving through the whole back of your body as well. Feeling the skin stretch, and then feeling it relax. If this creates pressure in your low back, then you might like to take the opportunity to go into a child's pose instead. We take supported child's pose often enough that hopefully you remember how that one looks. It's supporting the whole front of your torso with a bolster or a stack of blankets. But pay attention to any signals that your body's giving you here. Some more words about Shavasana from the Yogapedia website. In a section called The Gift of Shavasana, it said, the true gift and beauty of the pose, and I'll add, and its variations and alternatives, is the meditative state of Shavasana. In this state of Shavasana, you may experience the closest thing that you can call to samadhi, which, if you remember, yoga is not just about asana. It's not even just about breath control, but it's a whole, what we call the 8-limbed path, where the final goal is this state of enlightenment or consciousness called samadhi. Or perhaps you may experience the closest semblance of your innermost bliss body. We also have 5 koshas or sheaths of the body in yogic philosophy, from the physical sheath known as Annamaya kosha all the way through to Anandamaya kosha, which is this state of internal bliss that goes beyond any feelings of our body, our mind, even our awareness of ourselves as separate. And so it is the bliss of existence. It is these moments, if you remember them, that you can bring off the mat and into the rest of your life. You can remember the moments of joy and peace you have experienced inside, even in the darkest of times. And as I have said on more than one occasion, everything we do on our mats, especially during a restorative practice, is a dress rehearsal for the rest of our lives. You know, we learn how to sit with discomfort because there's nowhere to go but inside ourselves during a long hold. But that doesn't necessarily mean that only the bad stuff makes itself known when we get quiet. Sometimes we become aware of this feeling that we are more than we think we are. we get a glimpse of ourselves as part of this big, beautiful whole that is existence, being part of the universal soul. So on a less physical, more spiritual angle, Shavasana is really great for helping us to get in touch with these elements that remind us we are more than our bodies, more than our thoughts or our feelings. And it allows us to find peace there. If you have one cheek down, take the chance now to turn your head to the opposite side. Bring the other cheek down, looking in the opposite direction. This might also be a good time to check in and find out whether laying on your belly is working for you or still working for you. And if you find it's not, then we've still got 4 minutes or so to stay here, so please don't oblige yourself to stay in something that's not working. Child's pose always exists, as does sitting quietly in an upright position. But if you're choosing to stay in this belly down position, notice how it feels compared to laying on your back or laying on your side. This is another variation of Shavasana that is open to you at the end of any practice. Just because whoever you're taking class with cues you to come down onto your backs doesn't mean that there aren't options that might work better for your body. I especially like to come belly down if I'm in need of more grounding, or if I feel a little anxious. There's something about that safety of having belly and throat down towards the earth that makes me feel protected. Not saying that is the only experience that you might have here, but it's how it works for me personally. So is this a shape that creates any kind of strong feeling for you? And if it is, take the next couple of minutes to notice what's happening for you. Allow your body to soften and release a little more with every exhale. And feel how the sensations of breath are different when you have the resistance of the earth against your belly. Notice whether you find this shape relaxing or whether your mind is very, very distracting. We've got about 30 seconds left here. So if you're distracted, see if you can draw your awareness back into the sensations as your body breathes. Nice. Bring your forehead to the ground, to your hands, to your padding, whatever is underneath you. Notice how you feel. Now you might press into your hands, pressing the earth away, and sort of come back into a child's pose for a few breaths. Or you might like to roll onto one side and press yourself up to a seat before we take our next shape. But take a moment to tune into your body, whether there's any movement you want to make through your neck, through your shoulders, whether a little twist might feel good here. Give yourself gentle movement. I cannot stress gentle enough. It is the feeling we're trying to go with today in this exploration of Shavasana, that we're trying not to be too enthusiastic and high energy in between the different variations that we might take. So from here, we're going to try that variation of legs up the wall that I've shown you recently called Stonehenge. So if you've got your blanket down the middle of your mat, fantastic. If you don't already have that, I would invite you to set that up so that you've got something nice and comfy and padded to lay down on. You are going to need 2 blocks and a bolster or a stack of blankets if you don't have those. But you might also like to have something to pad your head with, or one of your squishy pillows to rest head and neck on. And again, having some weight across the belly might feel really nice here as extra grounding. So you will have to experiment with the positioning of your blocks to find maximum stability underneath your bolster. But this is the way it looks, and this is why we call it Stonehenge, because, ta-da, that's it there. So all we're going to do with this little scaffold that we've built of bolster and blocks is to rest our calves on this nice padded surface, having the back resting along the earth, and you decide whether you'd like to have your hands resting on your belly or alongside, maybe with the hands facing upwards, or you might like cactus arms to get a little extra space across the chest. But this gives us the benefit of having that slight inversion without thinking after 5 minutes that this is a lot for your body to deal with. So give yourself anything you need that's extra here. The little extra gesture of love might mean tucking yourself in with a blanket, finding some extra warmth and support. Covering your eyes up might be something that you really, really like. Might be something you hate with a fiery passion. So tune into your own personal preferences. But then when you get here, notice how you feel. The noticing how we feel when we first assume a new posture is really important, Because sometimes in yoga there is the tendency to get ourselves into a position without actually connecting into how things actually feel for us. We're so used to the performative aspect of, now we're going to take this pose, without it occurring to us to ask whether it even works for our bodies. So you might find that having your legs raised like this allows more of your back to come in contact with the earth. But for whatever reason, this might be awful for you. In which case, there is no obligation to stay. Do what works best for you. And if that means taking one of the positions we've already taken today, wonderful. If it means sitting in a chair or moving around a little gently, then give yourself the gift of gratitude for making your preferences known. If this is a place that feels good, then allow yourself to settle a little more with every exhale. Allow your feet to fall in or out as they may. Allow your legs to completely relax. You don't have to do anything to hold yourself in this position. So notice if you are holding or gripping in any way. Just notice what it feels like for your body to be completely supported by the earth and by your props. Feel the breath just move without your conscious control in and out of your body. And then, without too much judgment, compare this pose to other Shavasana variations that we've taken so far. Has there been one that stood out as something that you want to explore at the end of another practice? Maybe something that you haven't given yourself chance to try out before. If the ultimate goal for Shavasana or for final relaxation is to allow our nervous system to switch into the rest and digest function, which promotes the healing of our bodies and our minds and our hearts, then what pose has been the easiest for you to access? Chances are there's been at least one that hasn't felt as relaxing as the others. It's just helpful things to notice and to be aware of. Because any of these variations that we're exploring today are available at the end of any practice. And if you're not including Shavasana at the end of every yoga practice, then I cannot encourage you enough to start making it a regular feature. Restorative practice doesn't have to be the 75-minute long extravaganza that we do here on a regular basis. It can be as simple as adding in a 5-minute shavasana at the end of another more active yoga practice. It can be as simple as sitting quietly for 5 minutes and observing your breath. Restorative is as much an attitude as it is a series of poses. It's reminding ourselves that activity may be the way that things get done, but if we don't balance that with intentional rest, then the only thing that's left at the end of a very busy road is exhaustion and burnout. So what is the point of all this activity if at the end of the day we can't sit back and enjoy whatever we've been working towards? If the only reason that we work hard and we work relentlessly is in order to achieve, so that other people will look at us and admire or envy our accomplishments, then we have an opportunity to reset our priorities. These restorative practices can make us so much more efficient in the rest of our lives. Because as well as resting our minds and our bodies and our hearts, we're taking time to connect with ourselves and to what is important for us. And at the end of the day, if you are satisfied with who you are and where you are, then what does it matter what the rest of the world thinks? We have a few more minutes left in this pose. So now might be a really nice time to take your awareness into the crown of the head, to scan through the body, noticing if you're holding or engaging muscles that don't need to be held. Allow your body to grow soft and heavy, releasing a little more with every exhale. Feel the breath move effortlessly in and out of your body as we come into this final minute. Okay, it's time to start moving slowly, slowly. Now remember that your legs are up in the air. So come out with care. You might like to draw your knees in towards your chest a little bit and either rock from side to side or just find some stillness. But giving yourself a few moments to notice how 10 minutes in that Stonehenge shape has caused your body to feel. So you might like to roll over onto your side for a few breaths before we go into our final relaxation shape. So the way that I would like for us to end today is in another thing that I've suggested before, which is a reclined bound angle pose. So for that, we're going to need, at the bare minimum, bolster and a couple of blocks. If you don't have a bolster, a few blankets will do nicely, but you might like some extra things, like a blanket to cover yourself up with or to cover your feet up with. You might like squishy pillow to place underneath your head. You might also enjoy, if you're going, there are two things you might do with your legs. You might either have your legs out long, in which case you probably don't need anything else, or you can take traditional bound angle legs when you bring the soles of the feet together and allow the knees to fall out to either side, in which case I would strongly encourage you to place folded blanket underneath either thigh to give yourself a lot of support, to stop your knees falling out and creating strains through your groin. So in case you've forgotten what this looks like, we take 2 blocks, put one on the medium setting parallel to the end of your mat, setting up a little T with the second block on the lowest height in front of that, and then resting your bolster on an angle there, coming to sit in front of it and just laying back. So this is what I say, you can either have the legs out long or you can do sole of the foot towards sole of the foot, in which case one blanket under one thigh, another blanket under the other thigh, and here you might like something underneath your head as well. Now if this creates some tension through your low back, you can lay your back along the earth instead and bring the bolster underneath the feet so that your hips are slightly higher, and you might find more comfort in this particular arrangement. So whatever variation you've chosen for this pose, because this is going to be our final relaxation shape together, we're going to be here for about 15 minutes. So make sure that you are going to be comfortable, make sure you are going to be warm. You might decide to have your hands resting on your body. You might like to take them out to the side. You might take them overhead, but after 15 minutes you might find that's quite intense and stressful through the shoulders. So I might suggest not taking that option. But you might like to bring the chin in a little bit towards the chest to lengthen through the back of the neck. Feel the back of your head resting against the support that you've chosen. And the final thing you might like to do, if you take comfort from covering your eyes up, then you might like to do that. If it makes sense to you to close your eyes, then please close them. If closing your eyes feels like it's a bit too much, then just allow your gaze to relax, to grow diffuse, so not really looking at anything, but allowing some light to filter in. So feel your body supported by the earth and by the props beneath your body. If you're covered up, feel the texture of the covering on top of your body. Feel the breath moving in and out of your body without your control. And if you are only just now settling in to relaxation, then welcome, you are right on time. So allow yourself to be still, and as I talk you through this final body scan, just allow your attention to travel mentally throughout your body. Let's begin with taking the awareness into our right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, right side of the chest, waist, hip, thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, top of the foot, sole of the foot, and all of the toes. The whole right leg and foot, calm and relaxed. Right side of the torso, calm and relaxed. The whole right arm and hand, calm and relaxed. Bring your awareness into your left hand now. Left hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, left side of the chest, waist, hip, thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, top of the foot, sole of the foot, and all of the toes. The whole left leg and foot, calm and relaxed. Left side of the torso, calm and relaxed. Whole left arm and hand, calm and relaxed. Bring awareness to the top of the head, the crown of the head, forehead, right temple, left temple, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, right eye, left eye, right ear, left ear, right cheek, left cheek, right nostril, left nostril, upper lip, lower lip, chin, jaw, and throat. The whole face, head and neck, calm and relaxed. The whole body, from the top of your beautiful head to the tips of your toes, warm and soft, calm and relaxed. Whole body, heart, mind and spirit, warm and soft, calm and relaxed. Bring your awareness into the center of your chest. This whole practice has been an exploration of the gifts of Shavasana. As we know, the corpse pose is the way that we end practice because it's supposed to be a symbolic practice for death, for letting go of things that no longer serve us. So during our final relaxation today, is there anything that you are ready to let go of, that for whatever reason you've been hanging on to, even though it might be causing you pain or discomfort? With death, there is a period of mourning, of grief. But we're completely supported in this moment through the props that we're supporting our bodies with and through this experience that we're sharing together. So know that you're not alone as you let go of something that might be hurting you to keep, something that might have outstayed its welcome by a long time. If there's nothing that you're working through right now, that's fine too. Just take some time to appreciate what you've created for yourself today, this experience of showing up, prioritizing the rest against the activity of the rest of your life. It's the attitude that rest is important, that is just as important as the rest itself. We're looking for balance. So thank yourself for taking this time to attend to your body's innate need for rest and rejuvenation. Remember that the earth is big enough, old enough, and wise enough to take everything that we are holding that we don't need anymore. So surrender your burdens to her. Let them be transformed into something new. Let the shit that you're letting go of fertilize something brand new. Allow yourself the gift of your own flourishing. Take a nice deep breath into your heart center and think of something or somebody who fills you with joy and with gratitude. Might be a special person, furry friends, a hobby, or something that feels like purpose in your life. Breathe that feeling of joy and gratitude into your whole body. And as you exhale, allow joy and gratitude to swirl around the personal space that extends beyond your body. Inhale gratitude and joy so they fill up every cell beneath your skin. Exhale joy and gratitude so that it surrounds your body like a warm, soft blanket. The gift of joy and gratitude is that as you notice things to be grateful for, to feel joy because of, you notice more and more things that create that feeling. So allow joy and gratitude to be the lens through which you view the world. As you take a final deep inhalation of joy and gratitude, include yourself in this feeling. You created the conditions by which you could experience them today. Take a final exhale of joy and gratitude. And we'll start to transition back to awareness of this waking world. Feeling the earth and the props beneath your body. Feeling the breath move in and out of your body as you begin to make small movements to increase the circulation in your body, but keeping them gentle and soft, because this has been an extremely quiet practice today. There's no need to blow that all out of the water by a frantic movement now. You might like to stay where you are to finish practice. I see that there are some of us who are not going to be moving easily due to furry friends. And we don't want to upset them because it just looks so comfortable. But if you're going to come and join me in a seat to close practice, then keep it slow and easy as you get there. So you might like to join palms to heart in Anjali Mudra. Maybe you lower your gaze one final time, maybe close your eyes one final time. Ending as we always do with the reminder that wise words are not always found in the most obvious of places. May your coffee, your patience and your Wi-Fi be strong. May you look for beauty and find it, especially in the ordinary moments. May you laugh often, though no one else understands why. And may your sense of humour, wonder and weirdness remind you that you are, and always have been, worthy of joy. From my heart to yours, thanks so much for joining me for practice today. Mind how you go.